All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be exploring this incredible story of power, integrity, and, well, the harsh reality that sometimes doing the right thing, it can have some absolutely devastating consequences. This is all about what happens when your character gets put to the ultimate test.
So here's the big question that's going to frame this whole thing for us. How can your greatest strength, the very thing that makes you you, the thing that makes you successful, how can that flip around and become your biggest liability? We're going to unpack that through the wild story of a man named Joseph.
So our story kicks off with Joseph at absolute rock bottom. I mean, he's been sold into slavery in Egypt. He gets bought by a guy named Potiphar who, and this is important, is the captain of the Pharaoh's personal guard. For just about anyone else, this would be the end of the road. But for Joseph, oh, this is just the beginning.
Now, the text gives us this little detail that might seem kind of superficial at first. Joseph was well-built and handsome. But trust me, this is not a throwaway line. This physical trait, something that you think is a strength, is about to become a huge vulnerability that puts him in some serious danger.
You see, Joseph's competence was just off the charts, and his rise was fast. The text says the Lord was with him, which is another way of saying that Joseph just had this magic combination of talent, integrity, and maybe a little bit of good luck. I mean, everything he touched just worked. And because of that, he quickly earns his master's trust. He wasn't just a slave doing chores anymore. He became the guy in charge of his master's entire estate.
And this quote right here, this just shows you the level of trust Potiphar had in him. I mean, can you imagine that? Handing over your entire life, your money, your property, everything, to someone and the only thing you have to think about is what's for dinner. That's the kind of absolute trust Joseph had earned.
But you know how it goes. With that kind of success and trust comes a whole new challenge, something totally unforeseen. And this one didn't come from some rival on the outside. Nope, it came from inside the house. Potiphar's wife, she starts to notice Joseph. Remember that little detail about him being handsome? Well, here's where it comes back to bite him. She makes a very direct, very compromising demand. At his response, it's just as direct. An immediate no. No hesitation, no, let me think about it. Just refused. And what's really fascinating is why he refuses. It's not just about being loyal to his boss, Potiphar, which would have been a good enough reason, right? Instead, he frames it as something much deeper. This would be a sin against his God. For Joseph, his integrity wasn't just about his job, it was about who he was at his core.
And get this wasn't just a one-time thing, a single awkward moment. This was a relentless daily pressure campaign, every single day. She's testing his resolve, and every single day he holds his ground. It was like a war of attrition against his character.
Well, you know something's gotta give, right? This constant pressure finally hits a breaking point. One day, her persistence meets a moment of opportunity, and the trap is sprung. And it all happens so fast. Joseph goes into the house to do his work, and it's completely empty. She sees her chance and physically grabs him by his cloak. In that split second, his only move is to get out of there, to run. But as he does, he leaves his cloak, the very symbol of his authority in the house, in her hands. And just like that, a symbol of his status becomes the centerpiece of a lie.
Her first move is just brilliant and so manipulative. She calls in the servants and immediately creates a public story. And listen to her words, this Hebrew. She uses his identity as a foreigner to turn the staff against him, painting him as this dangerous outsider and herself as the poor victim.
Then she tells the same lie to her husband, Potiphar, but listen to the subtle, toxic little twist she adds. That Hebrew slave you brought us. Whoa! See what she did there? She's not just accusing Joseph, she's subtly blaming her husband for his bad judgment. It's an expert-level manipulation designed to make him as angry as possible and erase any doubt.
So Potiphar hears his wife's perfectly crafted story. He sees the proof of the cloak and, well, you can guess what happens next. It's swift and it's severe.
And here's the crazy part. For doing the right thing over and over again, for showing unshakable integrity, Joseph's reward is prison. Not just any prison either. He's thrown into the prison for the king's prisoners, a place for high-level criminals. His fall from grace is just as fast and dramatic as his rise.
So it seems like a total tragedy, right? A story where being a good person leads straight to ruin. But just when you think it's all over, a very familiar pattern starts to pop up again, even in the darkness of a dungeon.
It's almost unbelievable. The pattern repeats itself step for step. The very same qualities that made him a success in Potiphar's house start producing the exact same results in prison. Again, the narrative points out, this guy just has that special something. He finds favor with the warden, and before you know it, he's put in charge of all the other prisoners.
And there it is again, that same echo of complete trust. Just like Potiphar only worried about his food, the prison warden pays zero attention to anything under Joseph's care. It's the ultimate proof, isn't it? Joseph's success was never about the place he was in, it was about the person he was. His character just worked no matter where he went.
So this story really forces us to ask this powerful question. I mean, he went from being the head of a household to the head of the prison block. The location changed, but he prospered in both because his character never did. It really makes you wonder, is true success about the title on your door, or is it about the integrity you hold on to, no matter what?